My name is Rita Pettway, and I'm doing this video so people could know how we used to do the quilts in the back day. And I still live here in G. Bend, Alabama, and this the best place to be. And my grandmother Annie Pettway, she made this quilt, and I don't know how she come up with how to do this, but that's the way she did. She never made a quilt by a pattern. The pattern that you see in a book nowadays. I made some quilts by a pattern, but I don't like them. My kids don't like them either. They want my opinion, and that's the way I make my quilt. Once they ever come to me, that's the way I put them together. People could see what we used to do, not the way we doing things now, because the quilts ain't heavy enough to put on the bed during the winter time. Houses ain't like they used to be. Some houses got, equipped more better. And that's why I'm trying to go back to the old way and get cotton to beat out, to put in my quilt. Because this cotton that you get out the store now, it's okay. But I like the old way. And if I could do it, and I have Louisiana a hazel to help me, beat the cotton out, it'll be fine to quilt the quilt. But beating the cotton out, that's kind of rough. With the thread that in here, it's come from the fur sacks. And when we take the fur out and put it in the cotton field, and then we'll get the sacks and take them and wash all the fur and stuff out of them, and then we take the thread out to have the quilt with. And these pieces that in here, it come from the old clothes that we used to work in. And it was hard to get, to get in the clothes. Every time you wear out, your dress wear out or your pants wear out, that you couldn't patch them, then we'll have to take that and put in the quilt. That's why these quilts, the old quilts, have so many different colors in, because all the clothes were not alike. The reason I don't piece up quilts on the sewing machine, I never seen my grandmother pieced up quilts on the sewing machine. She always pieced them by hand. And the reason why we didn't learn to piece them up on the sewing machine, she didn't have but that one. And she kept the machine to make our dresses out, because she knew if the machine mess up, she couldn't make the dresses for us to have the way. I had my daughter Louisiana to come up from Mobile, and so she was working with me to do this project. And we used to sit there and piece the quilts. And she said, "Why you don't use the sewing machine?" I said, "No." I said, "I want you to learn like I'm doing. Do it with your hand. It's more easier to do it with your hand than to do it on the sewing machine."
I'm Louisiana Bendolph. This is my mom, Rita Pettway. You'll hear me calling her Rabbit. We call her Rabbit because that was that's her nickname, and we call our great grandmama Mama.
Now this is the way I learned. You have to do it like this. Do many stitches that you could. See, during them days we had longer needles, but now I use shorter needles. But I still make a lot of stitches doing with the short needle.
But in two, it's faster. It's faster when you do a lot of stitches together. You be on got a farther way than if you sit there and just put one stitch in at a time and then you pull it every time. You just make a whole lot of more work for yourself.
Mhm.
And so I'm gonna try and demonstrate. This is a sack. It's kind of like it almost resemble a flour sack, and it had the thread that we was talking about from the fertilized sack. So it's been a long time since I did this, so I'm gonna see if I can get it to pull apart. So you would take it apart, you just pull it apart, and this thread right here is what we used to use. And we would take it and we would have a stick. After we finish taking it off, and we'll take it and we'll wrap it around the stick so it'll be more easier to use. We don't have to keep on trying to find the end because it's on the stick. And yeah, it's still pretty strong. So yeah, once we got all the thread out of there, then we took the flour sack or the wheat sack and we took it and it usually ended up on the back of a quilt for the lining of a quilt, because we used the stuff that was inside, we used the thread that held it together, and then we used the fabric that was on the outside. So, because, I mean, just learned how to use everything. Well, during the early days, we used to do a whole lot of ripping fabric instead of cutting with scissors, because most of the time, there wasn't even really, we didn't have the scissors, so we basically used a knife to start cutting the fabric, and then you would just tear it. We never asked how quilts are put together. So because we watch and see how our moms and grandmothers did it, and that's how we grew up. We just watched them from under the quilt, and then we would watch them, like my mom be sewing by hand. I just sit there and watch her, and that's how we learn. But then when you learn, then you kind of go your own way with what they are, because basically all you need to know how to do is stitch. You don't need nobody to tell you what make them happy, because you don't know. Because like, I love my mom quilts, but it make her happy because that's how she wanted to design it. And and I love my quilts because that's how I wanted to design them. So basically, it's just like when, how you give uh the kids crayon, and you tell the kid not to color out the line. Wrong thing to do. Let a kid color the way they want to color. They learn how to, they'll learn the basic. They know that they can color in the line, but they also have to know that they can color outside the line. Because if not, we wouldn't have all the designs that we have. And people say, well, that color sure don't go with that color. But who says what color go with what? I mean, if if you told me that black and white don't go together, then we wouldn't have never started wearing black and white. So you say, well, red and yellow don't go together. But who knows? I mean, because you don't mix colors, how will you ever know? You put whatever color you like, you put it together, because it's basically about what you like. Because if you like what you do, somebody else gonna love what you do. So it's about mixing whatever you want. I mean, you don't have to do just cotton fabric. You can do wool. You can do corduroy with cotton fabric. I mean, because once you get it going, you'll know if it make you happy or not. And when it make you happy, you know. Yeah, this like the smaller pieces. They're like where I had made a block, and then I just ended up and made this line right here a little bit smaller. It's not so much as putting the little pieces in there. Once you get it together and you look at it and it don't really work, sometimes it be a little bit too much or something. So you need to just cut it back and make it a little bit smaller to make it work the way you want it to work. That's how these end up happening. I have made a few blocks in the quilt, and I stepped back, and when I looked at it, it just didn't work for me. And so I thought of yellow, and so I put that piece of yellow in, and then it worked for me. Well, we always talk about love when we're making a quilt, but it's not just about love. It's about pain. It's about everyday life. It's about how you feel at the time. And so, because matter of fact, this quilt here is kind of based on a piece I had made. I had made, I had did a print, and it's kind of based on that. And that print was called Going Home, and it was for my 2-year-old, well, 18-month-old grandson. He had a heart condition, so he died. And so when I made the print, it was like a little bit of the little pieces represent footsteps that he would never make. And so when I was making this quilt, I was thinking about him also in that den, which is part of life. And I made more footsteps. So wherever this quilt goes, it'll be like he made some more footsteps in the world, even though he's gone.
I could do one stitch at a time or two, but see that'll be slowing me down. So that's why I make more stitches, and then see that'll make me further up on this piece that I'm working on. And it won't take me as long to make a quilt, but I make a lot of stitches.
I love watching her sew.
When I first started the piecing up my quilt, I was doing one stitch and two stitches at the time because I was learning by looking at Mom. Okay, now I got to get some more thread. So this part couldn't come loose back this way. See, now I'm going to go back here where I had already quilted it and just re-quilt back across this way. And that keep the quilt together.
You remember I sure did used to hate doing that. But you always loved doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Feel like one of those take you back to that time where we'll sit out and watch you work on quilts, and when we had the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So different. Yeah.
Yeah, when the winter come, that's when we did it, because all during the summer we were working in the field.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then it's just amazing that everything, like you started, we started with the thread from the sacks, and then some of the fabric from the sacks, and
Mm-hmm.
and then in the end, then you got cotton. It just, when you think about it, at first you never did you think about it, Well, I didn't really, cause you never thought about it. I mean, you had everything that you needed when you bought one thing that when we did that to plant the stuff that we was gonna fertilize, and then when we after we ate the food that when we cooked the bread from the flour and stuff. Well, Mama and you, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
remember them whole cake y'all used to make and you put them down there on the fireplace?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, this through it right here. We're going to get out here and beat this cotton out.
Well, you just ain't tired.
And put this quilt up.
Okay. Well, first of all, we gonna attempt the old way to do the way we used to. We people talk about the cotton. You remember it was something that we picked and we made a few dollars from it, not very many. And which we would pick it like this. We'll pick like this first, and then we'll put it in the sack. And then once we got enough together, then our great grandfather would take it to the gin house, and they would gin the cotton, and then the scrap that was left over, when they got the best cotton out, then the scrap that was left over, then they can get the scrap, and then they would bring it home, and we would use it in the quilt. And when it came, it looked like this, but it had a little bit more seeds and dirt and stuff in there. So we would have to, before we could do anything with, we would have to beat it out. But this right here is a little bit cleaner, but it's the same thing. You can still feel some of the seeds that's on the inside. And so my mom is gonna show you all how to beat it, how we used to beat it out. It's something called a brush broom. It's like a bush that we used to sweep the yard with also, and we would get the brush broom, and then we would matter of fact, let me get it in. Now it had like some leaves on it, because like I said, we used to sweep the ground, which everybody now rake, but we didn't know what a rake was. And so we would take this right here and
we'll put it on the liner, and then we'll take this and just beat it like this until it come real fluffy.
it seemed like fun now, but before it wasn't fun.
I love that they do it. And so when you beat it on one side, you could take it and turn it over.
That's kind of cool now.
Mm-hmm.
Let me put some.
And then you have to beat it enough for it to go all across the lining for the fitting of that quilt.
I remember this. Mm-hmm. Oh my God, I hated it, but now it's kind of fun. So.
And we also got to beat it enough for the needle to be able to go through there.
Well,
it can't be too thick. But even though it'll still be a heavy quilt with this kind of cotton. And now we can go in the store and buy this batting out of the store. But with this cotton that comes from the gin house, it'll make it heavy just with just beating it out one time and putting it on the quilt. It's supposed to be thin just like this right here.
Yeah, let's come off that stick. See, they'll turn real white.
Mm-hmm.
Ask me if I want to do it now. Oh, the kind that's in the store where you can go and just roll it out and put it on now works for me. My great grandfather, he used to get all he used to be all dressed up in his. He would either have on khakis. He would have on a khaki pair of pants and that khaki shirt he had on, and he wore that black hat. And then he'll walk out across the field while we out there picking cotton. And then he'll start smiling, and then he gone on up to the store. But I'm still so thankful for him because, like I said, you know, we could not have been raised by them. Nobody wants to hear about that. That's the old days. Nobody's gonna do that anymore. And I told him, if you don't understand what we're talking about, if you just think a quilt is pretty and it just came to be without anybody laboring on it, you have to hear the story, because it was a lot of intent in quilts back then, because you didn't have the fabric to use. You didn't have the thread, all the thread that you needed at one time. You didn't even have all the fabric. And back then people had a lot of kids, and they needed the quilts, because back then it was cold. You remember how cold it used to be? It used to snow and all.
I make quilts, and when I make these quilts, I put love in my heart. Love go from my heart to each quilt I make, no matter what color in it. I put love in it.
Yeah. Every time I talk to you, you always talk about how grateful you is that Mama taught you how to quilt.
And I'm so glad on it. I don't know what to do. I just praise her, even though she dead and gone.
Yeah,
I praise them because what they taught me and how they taught me. And I did the same thing with y'all. When y'all was coming up, I wanted you and Hazel to learn how to piece up quilt and to quilt.
We sure ain't want to, though.
And so I know you didn't want to, because then we were piecing quilt to keep warm by.
Yeah. And yeah, I must say my mom do love quilting, because she stitched every one by hand, and she never stopped making quilts. When everybody else had just about stopped doing them, she always made them. Okay, we are attaching the quilt to the frame. We doing it the old-fashioned way. We doing it with the thread and the needle, because now the new way we use thumb tack. We just take the thumb tack and stick them in there, which is a whole lot easier than doing it with a needle. Everything is in line. And see, even like this piece here, if it didn't hem the quilt, they would still use it and put it in another quilt. So always about using what you had.
Okay, we gonna roll it from the last side that we hooked the quilt in, because that's the side I always start the quilting on. I quilt on the side, the first side that I tack on the frame. That's the side I start quilting on. And because of that, so when you get to this side, you'll have enough lining out on this side if the quilt be bigger. And then we'll start quilting from that side. And you got to make sure it's rolling up level. Because well, we did have a red mule, and that mule didn't want nobody to ride him or to catch him. And my son David Bruce, he rode that mule, and he plied him the whole while we were farming for 5 years. After Daddy stopped farming, me and my 3 oldest kids. And after then, here lately, my children had a bull, a calf, but the mother was, she died after she birthed that calf. And after then, I had to nurse that calf with a ball. And I had him in the kitchen in a big old box because we was afraid something was gonna get to him outside. So after then, when he got big enough to get out the box, he come and met me in that meal kitchen door. And then at the time he went out there.
That was Book.
His name was Book. And I got some old pictures somewhere where the kid rode him in. And we also plied him too. My son David Bruce, he hooked him up to that ply and plied the garden. That was after we had stopped farming.
And where we sitting at now, we used to have sweet potatoes on this side right here. And down in that little area right there, we used to have peanuts all the way around there. And then on around we had the corn and at the very end of the garden we had peas down that way. And so yeah, it's just been, and all the cotton was back all the way around. Once we got through with one thing, then we had all the cotton going from here all the way around. You know where you came down at the end of that garden around now? Yeah.
After I was sick for a while, when I started back to quilting, I tried to bring my roll, straight up to me, but it do something to my head when I bring them straight up to me. Then you gonna have a curve in it. I'm not bringing them straight. I'm countercone. And when I finish on this side, bring them this way, then I go to my left side, and then I'm gonna bring them like this. That means I don't be bringing them straight up to me. That's why mine on the other quilt, they got a lot of designs in them.
Pat me them scissors. Thanks.
And another thing these knives, they don't be on top of the quilt and up under the quilt like they under those quilts over there. They inside. When I pull it, it comes inside. But then the thread what we were using back in the day, the knife, we couldn't pull it through because they was, that thread was so big. But now the thread is real thin, and they'll come, when you push them in there, they'll come straight on through.
Now that I think about it, I think the knot be kind of cute up on there. Mm-hmm. As long as you got a sheet to go there before you put the quilt on. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now another thing, when you always quilt, you got to make sure that the needle go through the top, through the cotton, into the line. Because if it don't catch that cotton and the lining, You ain't gonna have nothing but the top quilted. And when we first started, when I first started piecing quilts and quilting, we didn't have we couldn't use the thimble because Mama didn't have but one thimble. We had to use the middle part of this finger right here, and that's why we pushed that needle through it.
Yeah, the rows had to be a little bit closer together because it's the old cotton. And then because if you don't put them closer together, then that cotton is gonna start moving a little bit too much. Yeah. So yeah. But y'all know when you see the old quilts and then you look up on and you look under the bottom or the top and you see how the cotton start moving in the quilt. I love those. It's like it have the little bit of like they be balled up on the inside, and it make a whole different design on the quilt. Yeah, they so cool.
I think
In November we better cause I think we scrapped the last cotton at the end of October, 1st of November.
In October.
Then scrapped all the cotton up. Then we could return back to school again. So. And you know what? You know what I was thinking about, Real? That spring down there. Y'all imagine. You know the world is. God really made a lot of great things in the world. You know how you ever seen when these springs, the spring that's in the ground, they're filled with rocks, and then the water is so clear. How does that happen? Well, the little kid used to sit up on the quilts and they would be washing the needle going through the quilt. And sometimes they'd be sitting up on there and they'd be so tickled they'll be trying to pull the thread back out the quilt too. Just because. Just because they're sitting up on the quilt. And yeah, and you know, like I said, when you start thinking about a lot of stuff that happened, you know, when you're younger, you don't. I don't know. I don't know if we just don't. Sometimes we don't pay well, before we didn't pay enough attention because kids now they pay attention to everything. So they not lost on things, but you know, it's so much that you learn down by your mother knees. I mean, when you say your prayers, you write down by your mother knees, and then like under the quilt, you write down by your mother knee, and you're learning the things that she loved to do, and it just I never thought about all that. I never realized what kids learn, kids pay attention, and now some of them are really curious about certain things, and and they'll pay attention. Like my little grandson, he loved to talk. He loved to lay on the the quilts that my mom gave to them, and they'll talk about them, and they just enjoy them because they'll say, "Oh, grandmama gave me this quilt," and then they don't even want you laying on that quilt now. Isn't that something? But they enjoy it. They enjoy coming home. They enjoy coming where I grew up. So, yeah. Because like I said, we didn't know how to appreciate it when we was doing all that work, because all we saw was work, work, work. We never got a chance to. We used to play ball out there in the front past out there, but that was the only time we really got to get away from this side doing all the work. And so you never really saw the land. We didn't see the beauty, and we didn't understand about the land. And I realized, it was a struggle trying to keep this land. But in the part is that, we talk about keeping home now, but this land is different than the land that I own in Theodore. This was land that came in a time where black people really weren't supposed to own land. And so this land mean more because we worked hard to keep it. And now I understand, I walk on it, I can see where we were fed by the land. I can see where the land it helped pay for the land. The land itself paid for itself by us working on it. And now I see, I look in the house, and all the stuff I didn't used to see how I didn't see the beauty in a red brick. But you know how pretty a red brick is? The older red bricks, I don't know, it's like it just brings something to it. And you can walk on the floors, even though a few holes in there, but those floors were there when they was brand new. Now they are worn, but they're still there. And you have, look at that color still in there.
And she didn't have enough cloth, the same color to do the quilt with. What she had to do was just do the color that she did have. And this is some of that they old clothes and thing that she made this quilt out.
Look at that. That's what part of the spring right there. See that bed spring?
One of the spring was up under there, yeah. And this is a piece of one of her dresses.
But you see how good this fabric feels? And look at that pink. It hadn't faded out none. Oh, that's cool.
And so she had to take that after they had worn it out so full. I wanted to get that video did so people could see what we used to do, not the way we doing things now.